Instructor Vex Allen had overseen combat training at the Galactic Defense Academy for 43 cycles, and in all that time, he had never made a mistake. His scaled hide bore the scars of 1,000 battles, his reputation carved from discipline and precision. Today would be different. The Kravith Cubs arrived in reinforced containment units, their obsidian claws scraping against durasteel as handlers wheeled them into the training arena. These weren't ordinary predators. Kravith were apex hunters from Terminus 7, creatures that had evolved to kill with terrifying efficiency. Their 6 eyes tracked movement in infrared and ultraviolet simultaneously. Their jaws could crush battle armor. Their pack instincts made them coordinate like a single, deadly organism. The cubs are 8 months old, the handler reported, her voice tight with nervousness. Still imprinted on their mother, but trainable. Maybe. Vex Allen nodded, his mandibles clicking in satisfaction. The Academy's curriculum demanded that students face real danger, learn to read alien psychology under pressure. Releasing juvenile Kravith in a controlled environment would teach the cadets respect for the universe's natural killing machines while remaining theoretically safe. Theoretically, the 50 cadets assembled in the arena represented 12 species from across the galactic arm. There were Heptari warriors with their crystalline exoskeletons, Velker strategists with triple-lobed brains, and Zen shock troops bred for combat. Among them, almost invisible in the crowd, stood Lyra. The human girl was small, barely reaching the chest plates of most cadets. Her species had only joined the galactic community 3 years ago, and their admission remained controversial. Humans were soft, weak, slow by galactic standards. They had no natural weapons, no armor, no enhanced senses. Command had accepted them out of curiosity more than military value. Lyra had volunteered for the Academy against all recommendations. At 17 standard years, she was the youngest cadet and the only human in her class. Most instructors thought her presence was a political statement that would resolve itself when she inevitably washed out that Vex Allen had thought the same. Today's exercise is simple, he announced, his translator converting his clicks and hisses into galactic standard. Survive, observe, learn. The Kravith Cubs will be released. They are hungry but not starving, agitated but not enraged. Use your training. Work together. You have 1 standard hour. He triggered the release mechanism. The containment units hissed open, and 3 Kravith Cubs burst into the arena. Each stood waist-high to the cadets, their muscular bodies rippling beneath midnight fur. The lead cub, Hero, as Lyra would later name him, raised his head and released a piercing shriek that resonated in frequencies most species couldn't fully hear. Chaos erupted. The cadets scattered according to their training and instincts. The Heptari formed a defensive shell. The Velker retreated to elevated positions. The Zen charged, attempting to establish dominance through aggression. It was textbook tactical dispersion, but Lyra didn't run. She stood perfectly still in the center of the arena, her eyes locked on Kiro. The cub's 6 eyes swiveled to focus on her, processing this strange creature that neither fled nor attacked. His siblings flanked him, growling low in their throats, but Kiro took a single step forward. Then another. Vex Allen's hand moved toward the emergency containment button. This was wrong. The human should be running. Instead, she was slowly lowering herself into a crouch, making herself smaller, less threatening. She wasn't looking directly at Kiro but slightly to the side. A gesture of non-aggression that shouldn't have been intuitive to a species that had never encountered Kravith before. Kiro's growl changed pitch, becoming almost inquisitive. He approached within 3 meters, then 2. His siblings circled around, cutting off escape routes, their predatory programming taking over. But something strange was happening. Lyra's breathing had become slow and deliberate. Her posture relaxed despite the proximity of death. She extended one hand, palm down, and held it motionless in the air. The arena fell silent. 50 cadets watched in frozen horror as Kiro closed the final distance and pressed his massive head against Lyra's outstretched hand. Then the cub did something that made Vex Allen's blood run cold. He turned his back to Lyra and positioned himself between her and the other cadets, his siblings immediately moving to flank positions. The 3 Kravith Cubs had just adopted a defensive formation around the human girl, treating her as their pack leader. Impossible, Vex Allen whispered, but it was happening. when a Zen cadet charged toward Lyra, perhaps thinking to use her as a hostage or shield. Hero intercepted with shocking speed. The cub didn't attack, but his warning snarl sent the Zen scrambling backward. The other cubs mirrored his behavior, creating an impenetrable barrier around the small human. Lyra remained crouched, one hand resting on Kiro's muscular shoulder, whispering words the translator couldn't capture. Whatever she was saying, the cubs responded to her tone, their aggressive postures softening into something that looked almost like contentment. The hour passed in surreal calm. Other cadets attempted various strategies: distraction, intimidation, negotiation, but the cubs never left Lyra's side. She had become their alpha, not through strength or dominance, but through something the galactic military had never properly quantified: the human ability to form inexplicable bonds with other species. When Vex Allen finally recalled the cubs, they resisted, looking back at Lyra with what could only be described as confusion. She spoke to them one final time, and they reluctantly returned to their containers. Hero, releasing one last mournful howl, in the debriefing room. The other instructors demanded explanations. How had a human, the weakest species in the academy, dominated apex predators that should have killed her? Lyra's answer was simple: I didn't dominate them. I just understood what they needed. They were scared, separated from their mother, in a strange place with strange creatures. So I showed them I wasn't a threat. I became their safe place. That's all. But it wasn't all. As word spread through the galactic community, military theorists began reassessing human potential. If humans could turn natural enemies into allies through empathy and understanding, what else could they do? How many conflicts could be resolved not through superior firepower, but through the uniquely human ability to see others, even predators, as individuals worthy of compassion? Vex Allen filed his report with a single addendum: recommend immediate revision of human combat classifications. What we mistook for weakness may be their greatest weapon. 3 cycles later, Lyra graduated top of her class. Her specialty: interspecies diplomatic relations and psychological warfare. In her service jacket photo, she stood in formal uniform, and at her feet sat Kiro, now fully grown, officially designated her combat companion. The galaxy was learning what Earth had always known: the greatest predators could be transformed into the most loyal guardians. All it took was someone brave enough to extend their hand.